Yeah, I love that. Even just letting people in on it, like letting people in on the transition and the growth and sort of, what you're going through. And you had a really beautiful post the other day. It was, do you want to keep up appearances or do you want to be free? And I felt like that one was so powerful. And I would love to, I think, we're kind of touching on that now, but I'd love to just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. Do we want to keep up appearances or do we want to be free? For me, this is about how freedom is in self-expression, allowing ourselves to be all that we are. And I think a lot of us, if we're spiritual, if we're doing some self-work, our sense of like radical self-expression shows up maybe as like showing up as my higher self and like showing up as this like most exalted version of me. And that is important. That is a true aspect of self. But for me, it's also about like, how do we make space for the fully divine and fully human and actually not have, and this is, I think, a lifelong work in progress, but I feel it almost somatically within my body, like dams in the flow of water. Like, where am I inorganically stopping the flow of my life force? Mm-hmm. I want to tell a joke. I want to be weird. I want to like do a bunch of push-ups on the floor of this room before we start the podcast. I want to, wear a certain thing, eat a certain thing, drive a certain speed, whatever it is, all these little things where we don't realize that we're like these Pavlovian dogs with the ghost of an electric fence collar around our throat saying, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. And we can look around and say, this thing in the world makes me not free. People are prejudiced, or people are going to judge me, or if I drive that speed, a cop will pull me over, or if I wear that outfit, people will say, sir, you must leave this establishment, or whatever it is. But those walls are within ourselves first. Again, it's like we can't have a new experience if we don't allow that within ourselves. And for me, like I've been through so many iterations of myself, like through gender and sexuality and spirituality and activism and different places and so many different parts of me. And it's been this constant process of realizing that authenticity is it's a moving target. It's like a garden that has something different growing in it every day. And even when we find security in a certain identity of like, I figured it out, guys. Now I'm a person who doesn't gossip. It's like that you hit that and then there's more learning to do. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's also about that, like getting comfortable with the unsafety and the uncertainty of not being able to know exactly how we're going to show up every day and letting that be okay.
Yeah. And I feel like the authenticity, it's like, I did a podcast maybe a year ago about this, but with authenticity, if I was talking to someone that I grew up with, I wouldn't be authentic, because if I was authentic, I'd be authentic to the version that they knew. And that's the Krista from Ohio. That's this other version. And so authenticity is like a present moment thing and not you being authentic to older versions of yourself, because your authenticity may be judged against a space and time that you're no longer in. And it's so important with authenticity. It's like, you can tell in the moment if someone's being authentic. It's like, yeah, there's like little filter or need of the other. And it's hard. I mean, I think for being authentic, for people that, and there's like a soul signature of authenticity for people, I think that's really important. But there was something that you mentioned about a little bit earlier, and it's around just like the specificity of your life. And I think this is something I think about with you is like, you have so much specificity in your life. You're so specific. And it's like very, very inspiring. It's like what you're doing is very specific. You're like, okay, I'm doing this for this intention and this reason. And I want to be here for this intention and this reason. And is your specificity part of your spiritual practice? Like the way that you're just so intentional with what you do and your time and your relationships and like how you create?
Yeah, I think the power of intention is something that is really important to me. And it's become important to me because I think there is a quality for me of having been through so much where there is this sense of like, I don't want to waste any moment. Like, and there is that tender heart. And obviously that's a slightly scarcity-based perspective, but there's also just the actual appreciation for, at your wedding, we talked about how it was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Mm-hmm. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I don't want to miss it. I want to be here with you. And when I root just even simply into that intention, I want to be present with Krista right now. I want to have everything that I share be of service and be true for me. that just brings a deeper level of clarity. Those intentions are already floating in the space. We're like, of course, we want to have a good time. We want to help people. We want to be of service. We want to express ourselves. By getting just a little bit clearer, I find it's what allows me to really drop in and also trust the experience. And there's so much distortion in frequency right now. There's so much energy flying around on so many different levels that I do find that my specificity and my clarity, where it is organic, not imposed. If I try to say, okay, I'm going to do this, then I know what it feels like when there's an inorganic, like I'm just picturing like a cage being lowered over my life, like a maze where it's like, okay, now I do this and I wake up and I do this spiritual practice in order to be a good person and in order to stay safe from the frequency warfare occurring. It's like, that isn't real and true. But when there is something that I can authentically feel within my being and I can be clear about it, I always seize the opportunity to do that, because it is what I find keeps me close to me and keeps me close to God and love and what I care about.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.